So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Liz Truss failing to defend the government, or specifically Boris Johnson, over potential donations that he had received from Conservative Party donors to renovate his flat. What we do know is, what we do know is that Dominic Cummings alleged that Boris Johnson wanted to get party donors, Conservative Party donors, to give the money to fund his flat renovations. And in this video, Liz Truss fails to actually defend Boris Johnson here properly, as if she believes that Boris Johnson did nothing wrong. So, let's watch this video. It's 2 minutes, so it's a bit long, and I don't want to subject you to too much Liz Truss because, man, she's got proper Joker vibes. But yeah, let's watch this video.
The Minister gets an allowance of £30,000 from the taxpayer to refurbish his flat. Do you know how much he's spent on it?
No, I don't. But I do know that the spending has been covered by him personally.
If he spent more than £30,000, should that come from his own pocket?
It has come from his own pocket, Andrew.
And so why do you think that Dominic Johnson said that the Prime Minister had plans to have donors secretly pay for the renovation?
Well, my understanding is the costs have been covered by the Prime Minister and everything is being fully declared in line with the rules.
Did a Tory party donor lend him the money beforehand?
As I said, he is covering the costs and it's being complied with fully.
The question is, did a donor provide the money beforehand?
Andrew, I am spending my time in intense trade negotiations, getting a good deal for the United Kingdom. I'm not spending my time thinking about the Downing Street flat refurbishment. What I know,
you're speaking for the government.
What I know is the Prime Minister has personally met the costs of the flat refurbishment. And that is what people in Britain want to know. And that is what's happened.
So you can't tell me whether or not he borrowed money from a Conservative Party donor to do this?
What I can tell you is he has personally met the costs.
You can't.
And that everything will be declared as it ought to be in the proper way.
I mean, the reason I'm asking about this is that there are clear tax implications about what I'm asking.
There are ethics implications too, by the way, Andrew, in case you didn't realise that.
If the Prime Minister has undeclared money from a Conservative Party donor, even if he's paid it back now for renovations of flat, do you agree with Dominic Cummings that this would be unethical and possibly illegal?
Well, what I agree is that the Prime Minister has met the costs, that everything will be declared in line, including for tax purposes.
Yeah, very robotic answers from Liz Truss there. And if we actually look at the transcript, she says, my understanding, so nothing definitive here. So if she's wrong, she can't say that, that she gave a definitive answer, because she could have said, well, that was the information I knew at the time. So she says, my understanding is the costs have been covered by the Prime Minister and everything has been fully declared by the rules. But asked 5 times whether the money was put up by a party donor first, she would not answer. And she said, what I know is the Prime Minister has personally met the costs of the flat refurbishment, and that is what people in Britain want to know, and that is what happened. The fact that she's like, I'm involved in intense trade negotiations, blah, blah, blah. If that's the case, why are you there? Why are you there? Because you should be busy talking to the trade guy in Oz. You shouldn't be, the one you belittled on an uncomfortable chair and said he doesn't have very much experience, that guy. Yeah, you should be talking to him, not going on the Andrew Marr show. But yeah, that's Liz Truss for you, ladies and gentlemen. And we go to our next article, which is about the possible review over the funding. So the UK's top civil servant says Boris Johnson has asked him to review how refurbishment of his Downing Street was paid for. So Boris Johnson has asked his top civil servant to do a review on how his Downing Street flat was paid. Surely Boris Johnson knows that. I mean, he's only asked this guy because he's probably going to give him a favourable review. Cabinet Secretary Simon Case, which is the person involved in this, the review, told MPs he did not have all the facts on works at the Prime Minister's official residence. Mr Johnson's ex-advisor Cummings had claimed the Prime Minister once planned to have donors secretly pay for the revamp. So it's possible that he's had it done. The Prime Minister said any relevant donations will be declared in due course. So what that tells you is that there were most likely donations. The question is, are they relevant? Are they relevant because they only have to declare donations above a certain amount. So that's going to be Boris Johnson's get out of jail card, figuratively speaking, if there is a proper review that happens. And we'll talk about the amount later on in the video. The Prime Minister said any donations will be declared. Labour has called on the Electoral Commission, which regulates political donations in the UK, to donate a formal investigation. The watchdog has said it is talking to the Conservative Party about whether the spending on the flat falls within its remit. So if it doesn't fall under the this watchdog's limit, the Electoral Commission, who deals with it after that? So asked on Monday whether he had ever discussed using donations to pay for refurbishments, Johnson said if there's anything to be said about that, any declarations to be made, that will be made in due course. So that's not a denial. That's not a denial from Boris Johnson, which is important because had that not been the case, surely he would have just denied it. Appearing before a Commons committee on Monday, Mr. Case said a review into the refurbishment will look at how it's been done. Asked repeatedly whether he was aware of private donations covering the cost, Simon Case said he has not been involved in this directly. So he's trying to say, no, I'm not me, bro. I wasn't involved. Me? Nah, man. That's not what my job is. Case saying that I do not have all the facts and details at my disposal, and he said that this will be wrapped up within a matter of weeks, a review. So that's going to be interesting. During his committee appearance, Mr. Case said that the lockdown leak inquiry, which is a separate thing, was going on, but it was probable officials working on it would fail to identify the sources of the leak, which is quite interesting. Downing Street says the Prime Minister has never interfered in a government leak inquiry. So that's Downing Street denying it, not any senior civil servant. So that, again, is quite interesting. So, like several of his recent predecessors, Boris Johnson is living above the flat in number 11, which is larger than the one in number 10, which is very strange. Ben Wallace saying that he's echoing what Liz Truss said, which is that Boris Johnson paid the money from his own pocket for the revamp, on top of the public money he received, which is an annual £30,000 taxpayer grant available to all prime ministers. In a written statement on Friday, the government said no money from this grant was spent in the 2019-2020 financial year. Figures for this year are expected to be released during the summer. So Boris Johnson could have avoided this whole fiasco because, from what I've read, it cost about 58 grand for this flat revamp. He could have literally spent £30,000 last year and then £30,000 this year. People have been like, why are you spending so much on renovations? But he could have just said, these things had to be done. Maybe he deals with plastering and stuff, painting and carpets last year, and then he does other stuff this year. And the fact that he spent more than 30 grand does raise the question, who are the contractors involved in this and what the hell were you doing for it to cost £30,000? In a written statement on Friday, the government said no money from this grant was spent, and we mentioned that. At all times, the Prime Minister has complied with the rules, he said. So we'll find out. That's a statement from number 10, serious questions. So speaking to reporters on Monday, Starmer urged a full and transparent investigation into the allegations about the Downing Street flat, arguing they risked undermining trust in the government. Boy, we're way past that now. It's all very well the Prime Minister saying, now I paid for it. The critical question was, what was the original arrangement and why was it so complicated? The thing that Starmer has to do now is make people understand why this is such a big issue. Why is it that taking donations from the Conservative Party donors is so bad, despite the fact that Boris Johnson may have paid the money back? That's something you have to explain to people. If there's a straightforward answer, we'll give it. If there isn't, then there will be serious questions to be asked, he said. Donations and loans to political parties, this is Boris Johnson's get out of jail card, metaphorically speaking, is that donations and loans to political parties of more than £7,500 must be reported to the Electoral Commission. So from what I've read, the flat renovations cost about 58 grand. So it will take, only a few small donations of about £7,000 in order to do the flat renovations, and therefore Boris Johnson wouldn't actually have to declare these donations. So that might be his way out. The Conservative Party has previously said that all reportable donations are correctly declared to the Electoral Commission, published by them, and fully comply with the law. So it looks like that if there is any case to be had here, had Boris Johnson gotten donations from party donors, most likely what he did was just get stuff under the declarable amount of £7,500. That's what my guess is, anyways. The party said gifts and benefits in a ministerial gifts and benefits received in a ministerial capacity are declared in government transparency returns. So, what can we tell from this video? Which is, what's the conclusion? Ministers are refusing to say if Boris Johnson received any kind of loan or donation for the flat refurbishment. And it's possible that had he got any loans or any donations, he paid it back. That's why they're all saying, he paid it from his own pocket. So it's possible that Boris Johnson realised how bad the story was, or maybe as soon as these messages came out, Boris Johnson immediately paid the money back, which raises the question, if Boris Johnson had the money in the first place, why didn't he just do it himself? More questions for the Wonder Clown. But what we can see from this is that it looks very dodgy. What's happened here? Ministers can't deny that Boris Johnson may have taken donations, and the fact that you have to declare an amount over £7,500 means that there's a possible get out of jail card for Boris Johnson on that point, that maybe he did take donations, maybe he has paid them back, but if they're under £7,500 he doesn't have to declare them. So that puts Boris Johnson potentially in the clear, as long as he wasn't stupid enough to not follow that basic rule. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.